Japan is losing population every year. More than 500,000 people we are losing. So if we are trying to create a human-centric society, I think human beings need to concentrate what human beings need to do. And anything human beings don't have to do, I think we need to delegate that to AI or robot or computer. And that's our goal for digital transformation. Now we are trying to issue individual number card, or we call it My Number Card. It's a card with IC chip, and it is sort of an electronic certificate to identify you online. So with this ID card, we are trying to make all the government procedures possible with your smartphone. So hopefully 90% of government procedures can be done on your smartphone with ID card. Right now, more than 75% of the Japanese people now carry this IC card. So hopefully we can leapfrog with digital technology in the future. Well, on April 29th and April 30th in Gunma Prefecture, I'm hosting G7 Digital Ministers meeting. In this conference, we would like to operationalize DFFT, Data Free Flow with Trust, which former Prime Minister Abe proposed back in 2019 at Davos meeting. Well, right now, data is transferred across the border globally. Without data going across the border, there going to be no economic growth. So this DFFT, Data Free Flow with Trust, is a big issue. And Japan would like to put this on the center of the G7 Digital Ministers meeting. So hopefully everyone can join this DFFT, and we can make things a lot more easier on data transfer.
Ahara, now is the time for JASMY to rise. And if anything, I want to show you guys why we're referencing this, because it's all about supply and demand. It says JASMY management will be in close cooperation with the Japanese government. Now, we have confirmed a few of these things in the past, especially with some of the deep dives. So this comes from apnews.com of the Associated Press. I'm going to pull up the article for you guys. And if anything, check this out. It mentions about some of the bad news that happened in Japan. But if anything, this is going to be great news for us. So earlier at the beginning of the show, we were talking about, somebody was saying, the US dollar is weakening, right? And it seems bad, right? But it's like, well, that's good for crypto. Again, supply and demand. So here's another particular example, right? Glitches in Japan's unpopular My Number digital ID cards draw a flood of complaints. Here's Tara Kono. And the key thing is this, if we're mentioning about the weakening of the dollar earlier, how that's good for crypto, well, technically speaking, when you talk about this My Number digital ID cards, this is good, or could be very, very well good for JASMY. Some people feel as though it's speculative, but I'm going to get to some of the key parts here that you may not have been aware of. And then if anything, let me know what you think. I think it's big. So Japan's digital minister, I've showed you guys this tons of times if you watch the deep dives, Tara Kono, he spoke during a parliamentary session on July 5th, a few days ago. He was charged with an overhaul of Japan's digitized systems to assign a number to everyone living in the country. Of course, he apologized as doctors protested over the glitches with the health insurance, and local governments who begged for clarity on how to handle the problems. And basically speaking, I mean, he was basically referring to this thing called My Number. We call it My Number. Over in Japan, it's pronounced literally Mina for short. It's gone afoul. There's a lot of complaints, but the government has ordered a total rechecking of My Number data one by one, mechanically. As the digital agency put it, the goal is to complete it by the fall, which could be any time from September to November. But look what it says right here. Local governments have to deal with much of the checking work. Officials have met with the digital minister, who, as you guys saw up in the picture, Tara Kono, demanding help. Costs for the review have not been announced. Expected to total trillions. That's in yen, so that's basically billions for us. Under this thing called MyNA, or My Number, launched in 2016, people get a card with a photo embedded. If you guys seen the last few deep dives, I've talked about some of these things, so this shouldn't be going over your head. But anyway, there's going to be these new cards by 2026, and apparently they're trying to start afresh. So it says, after thousands of complaints about mistaken identity related to My Number this year alone, Cohen suggesting that the system may be renamed, set off, and uproar. Now, I do want to point this out, and some people are going to say, well, this is you being speculative. Call whatever you want. Look what's mentioned here. These new cards come out by 2026. Remember what some of the KPI targets were mentioned in regards to the JASMY management team by 2026? There's so many references when you think about JASMY, like personal data loggers, 107 million. Why would you make 107 million personal data lockers when there's 107 million people in the country? I mean, there's just a lot of figures that make you wonder, like, that is by design. Yes, it is by design. So in then 2026, $17 by 20, and all this stuff sounds absolutely nuts, does it not? But when we talk about some other projects, it doesn't sound too nuts. You guys are just mentioning like Cosmos and like Cool Cat Crypto, like 2 to 3 trillion in market cap and so on. I mean, nobody could have ever imagined, that BTC could have exploded the way it did, but it did. So it says from Conan that, extremely sorry, told a special committee in Parliament where opposition lawmakers slammed his efforts for what happened. He said, we'll do our best to speedily check the system and win back people's trust. I mean, again, think about what Gilbert Verdi mentions all the time, the internet trust. So we always talk about, JASMY and IoT, but technically speaking, it's more than the Internet of Things. It is the Internet of Trust. So with the system already in trouble, plan to phase out the existing healthcare insurance cards and replace them with My Number cards, or MINA, like they called it, by next year is drawn as still, shriller level of protest. Japan has widespread, relatively affordable healthcare. There's over than 100 million Japanese, again 107 million if you want to be technical. But I want to jump down to this part real quick down here. It says that a study by the industry group estimated that more than 1 million people were affected by the troubles at medical facilities between the 23rd and June 19th. I mean, that's a small population compared to the overall, but it's definitely worth paying attention to, right? But here's the thing, right? So when they get more into some of these key things, it says the digital agency has not explained clearly how the government plans to rechecking My Number IDs. It's undertaking involving the Prime Minister's office, health ministry, communications, and so on. But many Japanese, never having had to get like these IDs, were leery about the system to begin with. And these cards, they have estimates that about 77% of all Japanese have one. Now think about this for a second. 77% of all already have one. There's complaints about the current system. Now, the reason why I want you guys to pay attention to this is this. There's complaints about, for instance, the SWIFT system, right? And we understand the ISO 222 is a big answer to that, right? Having everything fully implemented by 2025 is massive for, let's face it, like the central banks of the world, some of the traditional banks of the world. So if we were paying attention to some of those things because of supply and demand, why aren't we paying more attention to what the heck is going on over in Japan about this thing of MINA, My Number cards? I think you see where I'm going with this, and I'm going to get into some of the good, juicy stuff here in a bit. Japan's reputation for attention to detail and quality technology has also been cast into question by cybersecurity lapses and failures in online banking and stock trading systems. Despite the tide of public opposition, the government is eager to push ahead with what? MINA, My Number. It's allocated 2 trillion yen, 14 billion worth in public money as a bonus points. If you're doing anything else right now, I'm telling you flat out, like maybe you haven't even listened to anything I've said on the show so far. I'm telling you flat out, if you own JASMY, pay attention to what I'm saying right now. Like put aside everything I ever mentioned earlier on the show about talking about whatever. The mainstream news, pay attention to this. because this is the juicy stuff and it's not just speculative. You can connect the dots here. I'm telling you flat out, I'm looking in the camera. Listen to what I have to say about this. I'm going to repeat it one more time. It allocated 2 trillion yen, 14 billion public money as, quote, bonus points or shopping discounts for people who get Mina cards. The big push for its use in healthcare is aimed at compelling the last holdouts to get them. Now, if you're a true JASMY holder, you've already done your research about this, check this out right here. And that's basically this from the JASMY management team all the way back on July 29th of 2022. And hope to God this shows up on the screen and does. Check this out for yourself. Why do we use the DD coin in the JASMY ecosystem? Some of you guys don't even know that a DD coin even exists. All you know is that you hold JASMY, the token. You should pay more attention to the DD coin. The data democratization coin is the pathway forward for getting all this stuff solved, right? So, like it says, faster and inexpensive transaction recorded on the JASMY blockchain provides stable value for user data, lower regulatory risk. Now, look at this. And let's get into this. Just in case you don't know about it, traditional point system and DD coin users' perspective. Points cannot be used except for specific purposes. Look at point number 1. Specific uses are determined, such as gaming, shopping, etc. Basic cannot be used for other purposes. Recorded on a server. Point values are recorded on the company's server. Let's jump back, just in case you forgot and you weren't here for it. Look what's mentioned here. What does this say? That's why you should pay attention to this, because this is absolutely huge, and this is a big opportunity for JASMY. All right, we're going to jump back to what we have here. And let me get back to that page. So it goes on to mention digital market data is analyzed and then used by the company and not returned to the user. Uses, expand with the growth of, for instance, JASMY. Can be used for other services within the platform, NFTs, ticket purchases, and investments in fund tokens to be implemented. Oh, by the way, healthcare. Oh, how do we know that? The CARE project. Oh, who gives a crap about the CARE project, Max? That's just Japan. Oh, really? Is it just Japan? Because last I checked, Ripple is also partnered with who? The CARE project. Oh, it's just a garbage ERC20 token. Oh, I don't want to get into that. Who gives a crap? I'm not here for the JASMY section or segment. Telling you flat out, educate yourself about the DD coin and the user's perspective, because again, on point 3 on the right side, data value is returned to the individual. Data used by the company is rewarded back to the user. And as we know, that represents what? That represents monetization. And that also means that the freaking token, the utility of the token is being used, is it not? And if it's being used, and this is a form of stable coin, you can connect the dots of why that's so powerful for why you hold the particular token. Again, do your own research. As we get more into this, and I know I'm getting kind of, excited about some of this stuff, you can use it for specific uses. There's a cost system development, but I don't know why more people don't know about the freaking data democratization coin, the DD coin. And, for instance, this part right here, the wallet associated with my page does not open all the features from the beginning. A deposit of a certain amount of JASMY coin is required, because some people are like, well, you're just talking about the DD coin, Max. You just absolutely trumped and ruined the whole concept of the token itself. I mean, if this is like Shiba Inu, people talking about, Bone, why hold SHIB if all the focus for supply and demand is now on Bone? Ah, great. That's a great analogy, totally different project. Look at what it mentions again here. The wallet associated with my page does not open all features from the beginning. A deposit of a certain amount of the JASMY coin, as in the actual token, is required to open up the functionality. So it doesn't dismiss, it doesn't get rid of the utility of the native token as in JASMY. That's why we call these shows Do Your Own Research with Max, because boom, there you go. For fairness, it will also require a certain amount of deposit from businesses, right? Mina connected all that healthcare that utilize the user data. It's a beautiful thing. Think about the personal data lockers and so on.